The numbers landed quietly, but the implications were loud enough to rattle the league. When the WNBA released its regular season schedule, most fans scanned for marquee matchups and rivalry dates. But buried inside the logistics was a detail that told a much bigger story. Last season, the Indiana Fever had 9 road games moved to larger arenas to meet overwhelming demand. This season, that number dropped to 4. At the same time, the league increased the total number of games moved to bigger venues from 15 to 19. That contrast alone raised eyebrows. Fewer Fever games. More moved games overall. That isn't random. It isn't coincidence. And it certainly isn't accidental. Last year, the Fever were the league's traveling phenomenon. Wherever they went, tickets vanished. NBA arenas filled. Secondary markets exploded. And the common denominator was obvious. Caitlin Clark had turned every road trip into an event. Even teams that rarely flirted with sellouts suddenly found themselves opening upper decks. It was a financial jolt the league hadn't seen before. This year, the story changed. On paper, the official explanation sounds reasonable. Clark missed most of last season after suffering a groin injury on July 15th at TD Garden. Teams, according to league messaging, are being cautious. They don't want to lock in NBA arenas early and risk empty seats if she were to miss time again. It's a tidy explanation. Logical. Safe. Until you look at what actually happened. Even after Clark's injury, the games that had already been moved still sold out. Fans showed up knowing she wouldn't play. The Fever still averaged 15,884 fans per road game last season, roughly 4,000 more than any other team in the league. And Clark herself only appeared in 3 of the 9 moved games before she went down. Demand didn't disappear when she did. If anything, it proved that once people were in the building, the interest had already been secured. That's where the injury narrative starts to collapse. If this were truly about caution, you'd expect a league-wide pullback. Instead, the league did the opposite. More games are being moved this season, not fewer. Just not as many featuring Indiana. Teams like the Washington Mystics, Connecticut Sun, and Atlanta Dream all moved games against the Fever last season. This year, none of them have. Meanwhile, expansion markets like Toronto have 5 games scheduled in alternate venues, including stops in Montreal and Vancouver. The league is clearly willing to chase crowds. It's just being selective about when and how it does so with Indiana. That selectivity points to something deeper than logistics. To understand it, you have to look at who shapes the conversation behind the scenes. Names like Renee Montgomery, now a part owner of the Atlanta Dream, and Sheila Johnson don't just hold stakes in teams. They influence narratives. And both have been vocal about the idea that the WNBA's growth shouldn't be framed around one player. Johnson, in particular, publicly pushed back when Clark was named Time magazine's Athlete of the Year, arguing the honor should have gone to the league as a whole. That wasn't just a comment. It was a statement of philosophy, a rejection of star-centric storytelling in favor of collective credit. But philosophy collides with reality when money enters the room. Last season, owners saw the numbers firsthand. Moving a game from a 7,000-seat arena to a 20,000-seat NBA venue isn't marginal. It's transformative. It changes a balance sheet. It funds operations. It attracts sponsors. Those gates don't lie. And while public messaging emphasized collective growth, private conversations reportedly told a different story when owners compared revenues. So why pull back now? Because this season isn't just about attendance. It's about testing a theory. The league appears to be running an experiment. Can early season momentum be sustained without leaning heavily on the Clark effect? Can new storylines carry the weight? Can expansion buzz, rivalries, and parity hold casual fans who were drawn in by one transcendent star? Look closely at the 4 Fever games that were moved this season. July 5th against Las Vegas. August 8th against Chicago. August 18th against Toronto. August 20th against Dallas. All deep into the calendar. None during the opening stretch when media attention peaks and curiosity is highest. Last year, the league struck early, capitalizing immediately on Clark's arrival. This year, it's holding those cards until later. That timing matters. It suggests a belief that the league can build early season buzz independently, then deploy Fever games as a late-stage accelerator if needed. It's a hedge. If attendance holds steady without Indiana in big arenas early, the league can say the growth is sustainable. If it doesn't, teams still have time to announce venue changes in February or March, just as they did last year. And there's another layer complicating everything. The collective bargaining agreement still isn't finalized. The 2026 season itself faces uncertainty. From the perspective of NBA arena operators, that matters. Why block off premium dates months in advance for WNBA games when those dates could be used for guaranteed sellouts like concerts or tours? From Jonas Brothers to Taylor Swift to Luke Bryan, those events come with certainty. WNBA games, until the CBA is resolved, come with risk. So owners keep dates open. They wait. They watch. And when the math becomes undeniable, decisions change fast. That pattern already exists. Last year, the Chicago Sky announced in February that they were moving their first 2 games against Indiana to the United Center, months after the schedule had been released. The Atlanta Dream followed in March, shifting a game to State Farm Arena. The Dallas Wings did the same a week later. None of those moves were immediate. They were reactions to demand, which makes this season's structure even more telling. Publicly, the league maintains that its growth isn't dependent on one player. Privately, it has built an escape hatch in case the claim doesn't hold up. If early attendance dips, more fever games will move. If it doesn't, the league gets its proof point. Either way, the narrative is protected. But the risk is real. Last season, even with Clark sidelined, fever road games dominated attendance charts. Viewership followed a similar pattern. The league cited record ratings as evidence of broad growth, but the biggest numbers still clustered around Indiana games, even the ones Clark didn't play in. Fans tuned in hoping she'd return, or simply because the storyline had already hooked them. This season, with fewer fever games in marquee venues and time slots, the league is about to discover its true baseline. Not the spike, the floor. Are fans now invested in the league itself, or are they still following the gravitational pull of star power? That question doesn't have an ideological answer. It has a numerical one. And those numbers will start speaking very soon. What makes this moment especially delicate is the tension between pride and pragmatism. Owners want the league's legacy to stand on decades of work, not on one rookie class. That instinct is understandable. But professional sports have always been driven by stars. Ignoring that reality doesn't make it disappear. It just delays the reckoning. The Toronto expansion provides convenient cover. 5 games moved. New markets, new cities, a narrative of growth beyond any single team. But expansion success doesn't negate the fever effect. It simply shifts attention temporarily. The real test will come quietly, in spreadsheets and projections, when teams compare this season's gates to last year's. That's when principles get weighed against profits. And history suggests profits usually win. Right now, the league is trying to prove it never needed Caitlin Clark to begin with. That its surge was inevitable. That she arrived at the right moment, but didn't create it. It's a bold strategy. It might even work in the long term. But in the short term, it's a gamble that could cost millions while the league tries to prove a point. Because pride is expensive in professional sports. Watch the February and March announcements closely. Watch which teams suddenly find availability in NBA arenas. Watch how quickly injury caution fades when attendance projections tighten. The gap between what the league says publicly and what teams do privately will tell you everything. So now the question turns to you. Is the WNBA making a smart long-term play by testing its independence from one star? Or are they overthinking a moment they should fully embrace? Are they building sustainability? Or are they leaving money on the table to protect a narrative? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to keep tracking how this unfolds as schedules shift and venues change, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because this story isn't finished. It's just entering the part where the numbers stop whispering and start speaking loudly.